So where do I begin? Let's go back 20 years ago. When I found myself in a situation that I didn't think I was going to be able to, be pulled out of, so to speak. I was sitting in a hospital, hysterical, delusional, fearful, not understanding present circumstances and how to deal with it. Wanted to find out later that I was diagnosed with bipolar 1, heavily sedated with medications. After 4.5 months, I was released from the hospital to continue the regimen of medications for a 20-year span. And it eventually took its toll on my body and mind, and I felt it was basically important and vital to stay compliant with the medical team that I was working with, psychiatrists, doctors, and so forth. But as I continued down that journey, what I found was things got quite difficult. I've been a landscaper for many years, and I found that there was the inability to function like I once thought I could. I had numbing of the extremities, really piss poor circulation, heavily drinking, smoking, weed to relieve the effects of all this, or so I thought. Eating a lot of garbage food. I was just in a really bad place after all this. Didn't know who to turn to, what to do. But I thought it was time that, I taper off this medicine that was supposed to, help me, supposedly. And it just created havoc, wreckage in my life. So I went off and tapered. I wanted to find out, amongst the many times that I've gone to ER to ask for help, that they discovered I had nephrogetic diabetes insipidus, which is complications with your kidneys due to the effects of high levels of lithium. And I was sitting at, I believe, 1350 actually. It's quite a high dose for quite a long duration, so I can imagine that's what got the ball started for my health decline. So I guess at one point things got so bad, I was continuing this journey with the medicine, still being compliant, still researching on my own behalf to figure out what to do with this tapering situation, and if my life could ever resort back to some type of normalcy. So when I was tapering and seeing a doctor on call, he told me that with nephrogetic diabetes insipidus there could be permanent damage, and my best option and recommendation by his means was to taper off quicker than I already was. So, long story short, off that high dose of lithium within a 4-month span, I believe, I was having night sweats, vivid nightmares, and so forth, but also on a lot of other medications to treat ankylosing spondylitis, which is an arthritic disease that just riddles your whole skeleton with bad inflammation, joint pain, and so forth. So there I was, tapering off lithium, trying to taper off the Humira, an injection I was taking, the Celebrix for the back pain, the acid reflux for the thyroid issues thanks to lithium, and a host of other medications that doctors were constantly pushing my system, hoping that things would work in my favor, I guess. And I felt like I was at a breaking point. I didn't know if I was ever going to see, a way out of this and actually contemplated suicide, naturally. It's just quite difficult to live in these standards, this complicated situation that I was placed in. And in this time frame, sitting back 4 years, 5 years now, I guess, I lost my brother to an opiate overdose as well. So I'm quite sure that that made a concrete impact on my decline in health, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Yeah, so I got off all these medications and continued the night sweats right up until last year. My body was just highly toxic and trying to naturally find a way to rid itself of all these potent poisons that plagued my system for so many years. I lost a ton of weight, naturally. Lithium makes you hold on to water, water retention. And this one particular day, I was more or less trying to get my head together, and I woke up feeling pretty groggy. I told my wife, it's going to take a little time to get out of bed this morning. I'm not feeling too well. So she went off about her business, to her job, and I stayed home and tried to get through the day. And I remember washing dishes at one point in time, and I lost all feelings in my lower body, extremities. There was no feeling at all. My fingers were cold, totally white. It felt like maybe a magnified panic attack, but I knew it was much worse. There was poor circulation in my body. Research I did with all the medications doing what it did in a negative manner. So yeah, anyways, I was washing these dishes, and next thing you know, I couldn't move. I became shaky, incoherent, not certain what was happening. So I had to sit on my bedside. I thought it was wise to call my wife, or try to text her. At that point, I couldn't use my fingers; they were froze. And I went into convulsions, and my dog sat beside me, barking at me incessantly, and bit my nose. And what little bit of strength I did have, I tried to swat him away from me because I thought he was, attacking me, but he was actually warning me that I wasn't doing well and to take some sort of action. So I managed to contact my wife in a text form and tell her I thought at that moment I felt like I was dying, so I expressed that to her, and she contacted the paramedics, who contacted me on the phone and said for me to wait still. Paramedics would arrive within 10-15 minutes, and for me to stay on the phone with the responder to ensure my safety, and to sit still. And I felt that wasn't the way to go. I was quite certain I was going to die sooner than later. And I also felt that the blood was soaring to my internal organs, the center organs to keep me, vital organs, to keep me alive. And if I wasn't to get up and move, I was going to fall over, and I don't know what would have taken place at that point. So I got up, proceeded to move, doing the two-step shuffle sort of thing. And the lady told me, the responder on the phone, you shouldn't be moving, you should sit still. And I said, no, I need to move to circulate blood. Paramedics arrived at the back door within 20 minutes, I guess, and they were, astounded that I was actually standing up, opening the door and greeting them. They took my pressure, and I think it was like 192 over, 100 and some odd. It was quite high. asked if I took an overdose. I said no. Asked if I was on medications. I told them. They were somewhat in disbelief. So I told them where my medications were, because at that point I wasn't able to get up off the chair after they sat me down and was taking my pressure. So long story short, I got past that, only to be tossed out of the emerge a couple hours later saying that you'll be fine, just go home, rest up, you know, so forth. But I felt like that was it. It was going to be the end of me. I couldn't live like that anymore. I'm just totally distraught with, you know, my current situation, the way things were going, and not seeing if there was ever going to be light at the end of the tunnel. So I got online and researched some more, because, you know, I was digging quite deep up to this point. We're talking 12, 14 hours of studying, researching, and figuring out what I can do to help myself when the doctors were clueless. More or less didn't have a solid answer or solution to any of the chaos that was going on within me. There's this it's hard to talk about, because I firmly believe without this video that I'll send it in the description, a link below. Sorry, I don't think I'd be here. And it's thanks to a man, a priest, a preacher, I guess, who has his own channel, expressing clogged arteries and how to deal with these plaque in the arteries, and what to eat, what to drink, and so forth to rid yourself of hardened arteries. And I thought, my God, what do I got to lose at this point? Felt like my life was falling apart. A relationship with my wife, my son, stuck in a home, isolated, couldn't go anywhere, too weak and fatigued, gasping for air half the time. You know, at this point, I'm not even 40. Anyway, I got on this video, and this man was expressing how to clean your arteries through a formula. Simple foods. It was nothing more than, you know, lemon, garlic, turmeric for inflammation, ginger, right? All these things to clear up the arteries. And I added my own little touch. Apple cider vinegar, black pepper to make the turmeric bind to your body. Because without that turmeric just floods through your system and doesn't attach to anything, so it's utterly useless. But I took that video and I took it to heart and did just exactly as he said. I cut out dairy, I cut out meat products. I gave my body a break, and that's what it really needed. It was just under too much physical stress, emotional suppression, from years past, childhood traumas, and so forth. And anyways, within a week, just as he states in the video, you know, I think on the 4th day you're going to see a drastic difference within yourself. And I thought it was a bunch of shit, bullshit. You know, what do I get to lose, right? I've tried everything. You know, I've been digging forever now at this point, and I went ahead and tried it. And on the 4th day, I was able to pick myself back up. You know, I went out in my yard, I cleaned for 8 hours. The physical strength and stamina that I hadn't seen in several months. The numbness started to alleviate. It wasn't 100% naturally in 4 days, but I continued this regimen and started training my body again and conditioning it, and still stuck with the routine. And today I'm still doing it. This is, 3-4 years later, and I've talked about this potion to clients, entrepreneur, I'm a landscaper, and people are marveled by it. I've had people, in the streets I stop and talk with, and other ones who have overheard me talking about it were just marveled by, what this can do for you. And I still, can vouch on that today, that that's my go-to when my system feels like it's overridden with the toxic foods I might have placed in my body, days prior. I can't go anything more than 2 days without this concoction before I feel like my body's tightening up again. So yeah, I owe it to this man. As I mentioned before, I'll put a link to his YouTube channel and that particular video in the section below, the comment section. And I advise anybody who has inflammation in the body of any sort to try out this drink. It'll do you a world of good. So, on another note, I've been doing meditation and qigong, mindful meditation, conditioning the body, and I spend a good hour at least or more per morning. First thing I do when I rise up, to set my day, on the proper path. And it's vitally important to have a routine. You can talk all you want, but without putting it into action, it's utterly useless. So I make that a stipulation for myself, and I promise to get up and do that every morning to propel myself throughout the day, so that I'll have the energy that I need to continue. This is still, in the baby steps of my healing journey. I don't know what else to really say at this point. But I like to continue this channel to help others, maybe reach out to other ones who might need some guidance, some information that's helpful to anyone. So if you want to know more, if you want to just discuss things, feel free to reach out and contact me. And if you like the video, hit the link button, or the like button, sorry, and subscribe. Yeah, that's it. Take care.